name is Xianning. That's my Dharma name, given by Venerable Jiru, which is not here today. I'm very happy to see you all here today, to be able to share the serenity of this place and to practice with you. It looks to me like we already have enough in common. We have the same intention to show up here this morning. The reference of my talk today, and actually the title of my talk, I haven't told you that yet. It's Sati, mindfulness. The kind of mindfulness that creates understanding. The references of this talk are multiple. I'll list some of them. First of all, Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, which is the book that Master suggested to us when we started these cycles of talks. Jon Kabat-Zinn, Sarah Lazar, Mark Williams, those are some research psychologists and scientists, and of course Master Jiru. I will start off my talk today by posing a series of questions to you. You don't have to answer. I will start off today's talk by posing a series of questions to you, like I said. Do you wish to improve the quality of your life? Do you wish to improve your mood and diminish or eliminate stress? Do you wish to eradicate depression, fear, and anxiety, and lamentation? Do you want to increase your working memory and creativity? Do you want to improve your reaction speed, attention span, and feel calmer? Do you want to enhance your mental and physical stamina and resilience? Would you wish to improve your emotional intelligence? If we answered yes to any of these questions, then we definitely have much more in common than we may have initially suspected, and with the entire human race, for that matter. The reality in which we live in consists of constant change, where we are persistently bombarded by stimuli that lead us to stress, anxiety, fear, and insecurity. Our society is based on competitiveness and individualization. Thus, we often get afraid of losing our possessions, jobs, titles, or positions in society. There are many other multiple losses that we identify with, and therefore allow them to make us suffer. Luckily for us, the Buddha, our great teacher, had experienced this kind of suffering himself about 2,500 years ago, and set himself on a path to rediscover the ancient path out of suffering. That led him to create or rediscover or found the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, which are both pervaded with teachings on mindfulness. I wish next to proceed discussing the meaning of this term, mindfulness, in English, Pali, Sanskrit, and Chinese. And then I'll continue to list the benefits of practicing mindfulness and the impact it has on our lives. The English version, mindful, means the quality or state of being mindful, the practice of maintaining a non-judgmental state of heightened or complete awareness of one's thoughts, emotions, experiences on a moment-to-moment basis. Also, it can be seen as a state of awareness. The Pali term is sati, and it simply means memory. The Sanskrit term is smrti, S-M-R-T-I, and it means that which is remembered. The Chinese term is the character nian. This Chinese character is composed of two symbols. Jin, which means now, and Shen, which means heart or mind. Bernard Parlegren graphically explains nian as meaning reflect or think, to study, to learn by heart, to remember, to recite, to read, or present to the mind. I like this last one the best because the top symbol of the Chinese term is present, and the bottom part is mind. Present with the mind, present in your heart, means to be fully here, now, aware and mindful. So, even though Chinese is a hard language, it makes sense to me with this character here. I will next explain mindfulness as defined by Jon Kabat-Zinn, who is professor of medicine and creator of the Stress Reduction Clinic and the Center for Mindfulness. And he's a professor at the Massachusetts Medical School and author of many, many books that helped a lot of people. He explains this mindfulness as being such, quote, paying attention from moment to moment to what arises non-judgmentally, end of quote. I also wish to define mindfulness by using a simile. I think we are all familiar with the fact with the state of physical fitness. Maybe we learned it in school, maybe because we work out, we know what it means. So in order to be physically fit, we need to have in balance these three elements: strength, endurance, and flexibility. Mindfulness can be seen the same, being formed of three elements, which is attention, concentration, and equanimity. I will explain attention. So what does attention really mean in the English language? It's the act or faculty of attending, especially by directing the mind to one object. The psychological definition of the term sounds like this: a concentration of the mind on a single object or thought, especially one preferentially selected from a complex, with a view to limiting or clarifying receptivity by narrowing the range of stimuli. Second, it can be translated as a state of consciousness characterized by such concentration, or a capacity to maintain selective or sustained concentration. Now that we brought up concentration, we need to explain this term as well. It's the act of concentrating, obviously, the state of being concentrated, or have exclusive attention to one object, close mental application. Equanimity is a state of mental or emotional stability or composure, especially under tension or strain. Calmness, equilibrium. I personally like Jon Kabat-Zinn's rendition of the term, quote, accept whatever arises non-judgmentally, end of quote. I teach yoga, so I often remind my students to keep in constant synchronization with the breath. The moment we fail to observe the breath, the mind starts wandering away, and the body is left alone on a mat. In standing poses, I have the students focus on the dristi, which is a point of focus or attention right in front of them. I encourage and promote yoga to as many people as I can, for I believe it is a moving meditation and can bring tremendous benefits to our bodies, minds, and spirits. Similarly, the practice of Tai Chi and Qigong, the martial arts of ancient China, can create a springboard towards the discovery of formal mindfulness meditation. After we extensively discuss the terminology, let's explore what can mindfulness do for us. According to numerous studies done over the last few decades, including the study done by Mark Williams, Professor of Clinical Psychology and Research Fellow at the University of Oxford, mindfulness can, quote, be a potential antidote to stress, depression, anxiety, exhaustion, irritation, and scattered-mindedness. It can reduce pain and the emotional reaction to it. It reduces addictive and self-destructive behavior. Mindfulness training has been proven to be as effective as medication and counseling, or as an adjunct tool to either or both of those together for the treatment of clinical level depression. Meditation increases brain function. It increases gray matter in areas associated with self-awareness, empathy, self-control, and attention. It soothes the parts of the brain that produce stress hormones and builds those areas that lift mood and promote learning. It even reduces some of the thinning of certain areas of the brain that naturally occur with aging, such as Alzheimer's disease or dementia. Meditation improves the immune system. Regular meditators are admitted to the hospital far less often for cancer, heart disease, and numerous infectious diseases. Mindfulness may also reduce aging at a cellular level by promoting chromosomal health and resilience. Meditation and mindfulness improve control of blood sugar of type 2 diabetes or adult onset diabetes. Meditation improves heart and circulatory health by reducing blood pressure and lowering the risk of hypertension. Mindfulness reduces the risk of developing and dying from cardiovascular disease and lowers its severity if it should arise. Another research study I was looking at Harvard, conducted by Sarah Lazar of the MGH Psychiatric Neuroimaging Program at Harvard School of Medicine in Psychology. She states, quote, "Although the practice of mindfulness meditation is associated with a sense of peacefulness and physical relaxation, practitioners have long claimed that meditation also provides cognitive and psychological benefits that persist throughout the day. This study demonstrates that changes in the brain structure may underlie some of these reported improvements, and that people are not just feeling better because they are spending time relaxing." End quote. Mindfulness teaches one to suspend, at least momentarily, all concepts, judgments, images, mental chatter, personal opinions, and interpretations. A mindful state of being is clear, precise, collected, and balanced. It is similar to a clear lake or a mirror that reflects an undistorted image of reality. It is proven through research studies, clinical studies, that regular mindfulness meditators are more content and happier and far less likely to suffer from psychological distress. Now let's discuss how we go about creating this mindfulness. The Buddha always instructed his disciples, quote, "Establish mindfulness in front," end of quote. Meaning that we should focus our gaze and mind on a point at a comfortable distance right ahead of us, without any external stimuli, or not connecting with those specifically. The premise of Buddhist meditation, as described by Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, has the component right mindfulness, samyak smriti, as its core. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh further explains that when right mindfulness is present, the Four Noble Truths are present, and also the other 7 elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. When we are being mindful, we automatically give way to right understanding. And when there is right understanding, we also are able to engender right view, right livelihood, right speech, right intention, and so on. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh further states that when we cultivate mindfulness, we are rehearsing our Buddha nature and cultivate the Holy Spirit. Thich Nhat Hanh talks about the 7 miracles of mindfulness we can bring about when we exercise mindfulness. First miracle of mindfulness is to simply be present. As simple as it sounds, this is hard to do, to practice all the time. The second miracle of mindfulness is to make the other person present by fully acknowledging them. The third miracle of mindfulness is to nourish the object of our attention. We are just like flowers. Without water and proper soil and nourishment, we wilt, we die. The fourth miracle of mindfulness is to alleviate the other's suffering. When we are truly present with one another, we prosper, we flourish, we transform and heal. The fifth miracle of mindfulness is looking deeply, which is also an aspect of meditation itself. When our mindfulness shines bright, we are able to see ourselves and each other deeply, thus creating the right grounds for change and progress. The sixth miracle of mindfulness is understanding. When mindfulness is present, right understanding exists, and that gives rise to compassion and love for one another. The seventh miracle of mindfulness that Thich Nhat Hanh states is transformation. When we are fully present with ourselves and each other, we are promoting transformation and healing. Thich Nhat Hanh concludes that right mindfulness will lead us to a healthy and happy life filled with peace, joy, and freedom. Further, I will discuss the practical aspects of mindfulness and formal mindfulness meditation. Our original Buddha, or the teacher, the Buddha, had recommended different objects of meditation or contemplation, depending on the circumstances or the need of the student in that moment. The Satipatthana Sutta portrays the four foundations or objects of mindfulness, also referred to as frames of reference. Mindfulness of the body, rupa kaya, mindfulness of the feelings, vedana sati, mindfulness of the mind, chitta sati, mindfulness of the dharmas or phenomena, dhamma sati. Aspects of mindfulness of the body include everything that one may come in contact with through the sense doors: eye, ears, mouth, nose, skin, and mind. According to Thich Nhat Hanh, focusing the mind on the body as body is what the Buddha recommended. The sensations in the body, the warmth, the cold, the internal organs, the contact with the floor as we sit, those are all real, not imaginary, and they establish us into reality instead of illusory existence. Master Chiru always recommends when we practice to see the body as body, feeling as feeling, hearing as hearing. Some teacher may even recommend repeating to ourselves like a mantra when our mind gets distracted. Sitting, sitting, walking, walking, in order to jumpstart or continue to feed the cycle of mindfulness. A second way of establishing mindfulness is through the reality of feeling a sensation in the body. If you feel pain or numbing of your leg, acknowledge it and see it only as a sensation, without getting the mind involved and interpreting it, judging it, or even resenting it. Similarly, if a happy feeling arises, or a warm, pleasant sensation, we will have to see it for what it is, appreciate it and cherish it, acknowledge its impermanence, and do not get attached to it. The third frame of reference is the mind. This one is a hard one because the nature of the mind is to think and to be distracted. We become involved and attached to emotions that arise, memories and proliferations of these and the reaction to them. Some teachers again simply recommend to use that same mantra we talked about. Acknowledge what the mind is doing. Repeat to yourself, thinking, thinking, thinking. To acknowledge that the mind is a thinking mind, to see it as the nature of this system of the body without getting caught up in it or resenting it. To help myself stay focused, I developed an easy system to bring me back to mindfulness. Every time I notice my mind following a distracting thought or idea, I acknowledge it, allow it to be for a brief amount of time, and abandon it with a smile, and come back to observing the breath or whatever activity I was doing. In the Anapanasati Sutta, mindfulness of the breath is the most commonly used type of reference or object of meditation, and is generally recommended for beginners. Luckily, our breath is always with us, but you may wonder why watch the breath. There's nothing exciting or interesting about the breath. And watching the breath and meditation itself can be simply boring, uninteresting, unknowing, or frustrating. The moment we see our minds and how distracted it is, we become discouraged. We may tell ourselves, "Oh, you'll never succeed to calm this crazy jumping monkey." It is true, we should not start with the ideal to calm and quiet the mind totally, because that will never happen. The human mind is a thinking mind, and that's quite all right to some extent. According to the National Science Foundation, humans have an average of 60,000 thoughts a day. You may think that this is actually great, but we need to realize that only about 95% of those thoughts, only 5% of the thoughts are meaningful, interesting, wholesome, or creative thoughts. The other, about 95% of them, are our repetitive, compulsive, obsessive, non-useful thoughts. Establishing mindfulness through watching the breath is recommended because it is a physical, real phenomenon. It has a repetitive nature and continuous as well. And it is to be trusted to always be there, unless we are dead, of course. Luckily, we don't have to think to breathe, or we don't have to do anything to initiate the breathing, or any effort to remember to breathe. That's actually good for us, that the autonomic nervous system takes care of that. Because personally, I don't know what I would do if I would have to initiate my breath all the time. I'd probably be dead by now, because that's one of my struggles. I forget to breathe. Oh, I got busy. I forgot to breathe. As we contemplate on the fleeting existence of feelings and on everything that makes our physical bodies and minds, external phenomena and other people or material type things, we may realize that our unhappiness may be caused by the attachment to those objects that are not as permanent as we wish them to be, or to phenomena that are not as we wish them to be, or they are the way we don't wish them to be. Therefore, we cannot count on them to bring us lasting happiness and joy. This is the realization the Buddha hoped we all will have, to see clearly the reality of our existence through the light of the Four Noble Truths, as described by the Buddha. In Pali, it means the truth of the noble ones. It's not because it was meant only for the nobility, it was maybe in a way that it allows one to be enabled to see the truth of this reality. Seeing clearly encourages us to step with confidence on the Noble Eightfold Path that leads to liberation. Ultimately, Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh claims that this kind of mindfulness practice and formal mindfulness meditation would lead one to penetrate the three basic truths of existence: anicca, impermanence; suffering, dukkha; and no self, anatta. I will end here with a sincere hope that it was a benefit to us all. Thank you for your patience. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings in all realms be happy and free of physical and mental suffering.